Early steel framed. In the late 1800s, Chicago became the proving ground for steel skeleton construction, replacing thick masonry walls with a strong, flexible steel frame. This innovation allowed buildings to soar beyond previous height limits, even if their exteriors still looked traditional. Architects also took advantage of newly improved elevators, which made upper floors practical for offices and apartments. The Home Insurance Building, which was finished in, is often cited as the first skyscraper, though many others soon followed. Together, steel framing and modern elevators sparked an urban revolution. Tall buildings became symbols of technological and economic progress. Chicago School. Building on steel framing, architects like Louis Sullivan and Daniel Burnham refined skyscraper design with large Chicago windows, which let in abundant light and air. Terracotta cladding helped protect against fire while offering fresh, aesthetic possibilities. Many facades followed the base shaft capital pattern, echoing classical column design. Sullivan's mantra of form follows function encouraged simplicity and honesty in materials, setting a precedent for modern architecture. Thanks to these innovations, Chicago's skyline became a showcase of early skyscraper ingenuity. Revivalist. Across American and European cities, skyscraper architects drew inspiration from Gothic, Renaissance, and other historical motifs. The Woolworth Building in New York, for example, was nicknamed the Cathedral of Commerce for its neo-Gothic pinnacles and gargoyles perched atop a modern steel frame. Designers believed ornate crowns and decorative spires gave these towers a sense of cultural gravitas to match their impressive height. Even everyday office buildings aimed for cathedral-like silhouettes, proving that new technologies could merge with old-world grandeur in the race for the sky. Wedding cake. A 1916 zoning law in New York City required tall buildings to set back above certain heights so sunlight could reach the streets. This gave rise to tiered silhouettes that resembled wedding cakes, broad bases at street level, stepping inward as they rose. Architects used the setbacks creatively, adding terraces, decorative trim, and sometimes planted areas. By balancing density with daylight, these regulations shaped a distinct architectural style, still visible in many Midtown Manhattan skyscrapers from that era. Art Deco. Art Deco fused sleek geometry, bold ornament, and a fascination with progress. Its vertical lines and dramatic setbacks emphasized height, while motifs like sunbursts, zigzags, and stylized machine forms added flair. Metal spires capped the tops of skyscrapers like the Chrysler Building, projecting a sense of optimism and modern glamour. Beyond New York, cities such as Mumbai, Shanghai, and Sao Paulo also embraced Deco's blend of luxury and futurism, making it a truly global style for the Jazz Age. Stalinist. In the Soviet Union, tall buildings rose to embody state power and ideological might. Moscow's Seven Sisters used steel frames but showcased layers of classical columns, spires, and wedding cake tiers, forming a monumental skyline. These buildings often featured lavish interior murals and ornate lobbies, reflecting official taste for grandeur and cultural ambition. Similar skyscraper projects appeared in other Eastern Bloc capitals, reinforcing the image of socialist triumph through colossal architecture. International. Modernists like Le Corbusier, Walter Gropius, and Mies van der Rohe advocated unadorned steel and glass towers as the purest expression of function. The exterior was typically a curtain wall. Thin panels of glass or metal hung off the steel skeleton, which gave facades a sleek, grid-like appearance. Open floor plans and minimalist lobbies reinforced the idea that ornament was superfluous. These towers spread to all corners of the globe, from corporate hubs in North America to emerging business districts in Asia and South America. Corporate modern. Building on the international style, corporations commissioned imposing, boxy skyscrapers to communicate efficiency and success. Often surrounded by plaza spaces or reflective pools, these towers used repetitive window grids and neutral tones. While they fit the corporate image of order and productivity, critics derided them as sterile and impersonal. Yet these slabs of steel and glass dominated skylines worldwide, cementing a modernist look in major financial centers. Metabolism. A distinctly Japanese movement, Metabolism envisioned skyscrapers as evolving structures that could plug in new components as needed. The Nakagin Capsule Tower in Tokyo, with its detachable, prefab living pods anchored to a central core, became the poster child for this concept. Though few other metabolist projects reached completion, the movement fueled debates about flexible, future-oriented city planning. Its influence can be felt today in experimental housing and modular office building approaches. Brutalist. Brutalism's raw concrete aesthetic, or Betonbrut, sometimes reached the skyscraper scale, although more commonly seen in mid-rise institutional buildings. Designs prioritized unadorned surfaces and massive geometric forms, which could feel imposing or fortress-like. In parts of the UK, Eastern Europe, and even North America, brutalist towers emerged as symbols of civic or governmental authority. Opinions remain polarized. Some praise their sculptural boldness, while others see them as dreary monoliths. High-tech. Sometimes called structural expressionism, high-tech skyscrapers celebrate the building's machinery, exposed steel beams, visible elevator shafts, and high-tech glass systems. Architects like Norman Foster and Richard Rogers led this charge, turning functional elements into signature design statements. Iconic examples range from the HSBC building in Hong Kong to the Lloyd's building in London. By proudly displaying structural and mechanical features, high-tech towers showcase technology as a form of beauty. Postmodern. Postmodernism rejected the less is more modernist mantra, resurrecting decoration, color, and playful historical references. Office towers might wear a classical pediment up top or a splash of pastel across their facades. Architects like Philip Johnson and Michael Graves winked at old styles while inventing new forms, injecting humor and surprise into formerly austere skylines. Postmodernism spread worldwide, leaving behind whimsical or sometimes jarringly eclectic skyscrapers in major cities. Deconstructivist. Deconstructivist buildings defy conventional geometry, fragmenting lines and angles into unpredictable forms. Figures like Zaha Hadid, Rem Koolhaas, and Daniel Libeskind push towers that twist, tilt, or ripple, breaking away from the normal rectangular mold. These skyscrapers often appear in fast-developing regions, Beijing, Dubai, or elsewhere, where bold statements stand out. Design critics debate whether decon is liberating or confusing, but it certainly sparks conversation and captures attention. Blobitecture. Advanced 3D modeling software allowed architects to envision curvy, free-flowing towers, sometimes nicknamed blobs. These designs emphasize smooth contours, undulating facades, and an almost sculptural feel, as if the building were molded rather than built. Though less common than traditional glass boxes, they appear in cities that encourage iconic, futuristic skylines. Blobitecture blurs the line between structure and sculpture, appealing to those seeking an avant-garde urban statement. Neo-Futurist. Driven by cutting-edge digital tools, many of today's tallest buildings in places like Dubai, Shanghai, and Kuala Lumpur showcase daring shapes that swirl or taper toward the clouds. Aerodynamic forms counter high wind loads at extreme heights, while advanced materials keep the structures efficient and safe. Neo-Futurism embodies the idea that architecture should anticipate tomorrow's technology, merging sleek aesthetics with super-tall engineering prowess. Eco. With sustainability a global priority, modern towers increasingly feature green roofs, vertical gardens, and energy-efficient facades. Many incorporate local climate adaptations, such as shading fins or natural ventilation shafts, to reduce air conditioning needs. Projects like Milan's Bosco Vertical or Singapore's Super Trees show how nature can thrive in dense vertical cities. By combining ecological design with innovative technologies, these skyscrapers aim for lower carbon footprints and healthier urban living. Megatall. As engineering breakthroughs continue, skyscrapers now routinely exceed 300 meters and even 600 meters. The Burj Khalifa in Dubai, Shanghai Tower, and Merdeka 118 in Kuala Lumpur push structural science to new extremes, often becoming national symbols. Designers use wind tunnel testing, specialized damping systems, and sophisticated materials to ensure stability at record heights. These sky-high marvels capture global attention, reflecting a modern drive to surpass limits and define the skyline of tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Got a favorite skyscraper style? Drop it in the comments, and if you enjoy these videos, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the join button to support more content. See you next time.